Hello and welcome to our latest episode of Alte Herren. My name is Rob Runacres and I'm joined by my friends Handy Lind, who will tell us about tonight's episode.
Yes, hello. Today we are going to watch a really amazing Rapier bout between, or with, I should say, Alberto Bomprezzi and Pérez. And it's from an event in Barcelona or Toledo, I think, a couple of years ago.
It's from some years ago, and I spoke to both of them about this before we were able to put on this video, and they were both at pains to say, look, it's been a couple of years since we've done this, so we have moved on. But I think they're being overly modest, as we'll see, because it's a lovely piece of sparring.
Yeah, it's been a while since we put up an episode, and that's mainly because I mean, you've been away. You went to you went to America to PHO.
It's my fault, is what we're saying.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, I screwed up the scheduling. Yeah, thanks.
I was here waiting at all time. You know, every day. Come on, you know, nothing happened. No.
Yeah, so I was away at the Purple Heart Open in Houston, Texas, and then I was up in Pittsburgh. With the infamous Broken Plow, and I was teaching a workshop there.
Yeah, cool. And you also got a gold in Rapier Dagger.
Yeah,
kind of cool. Yeah. Are there any videos of that?
There is one video which is a little bit variable in quality of that particular final. I think it's Cron have done an awful lot of videos of this, and we can put a link on from all sorts. It's worth noticing that Alte Herren friend Tej Cool won the gold in the longsword in a really nice fight actually against Chris Hobbs. So that is definitely, for you longswordists out there, definitely one to watch. The Rapier, there are some nice fights. I think from our point of view, the Rapier's point of view, the rings were quite small, so a lot of the action was quite constrained. We weren't able to move around as much. But the longsword was excellent. And what we'll try and do after this is perhaps put up a list of all the winners as well, because I don't have the beginner's longsword or the ladies' longsword full details to hand. So for those who are interested in watching us and finding out tournament results, we'll put on those details afterwards.
Okay, cool. So should we just start the wonderful episode? The Rapier?
Okay, so what we're seeing is Rapier and Dagger between two Spanish fencers, one of whom, Alberto Bomprezzi, a guy I like to knock around with at various events, a wonderful man and a brilliant fencer. One of the things to note about him is that it is said his form is derived. A lot of people call it the Bomprezzi system. I'm not sure he'd entirely agree on that, because of course all fencing is derived when we're interpreting the treatises. But what you'll see is some really unique stuff. And then you've got Pérez, who is as well, from what we can see, a fantastic fencer who, whilst being given a difficult time, Alberto, is holding his own very well. So, okay, shall we have a look at this?
Yeah, let's go. The nice introduction here, and then the fighting is just going to start right away, I think.
Yeah. So Alberto is in black and Edu is in white, which should make it fairly easy for people to see.
Yeah. Yeah, we come in right here in the middle of it. And as you can see, it's high pace sparring. You know, there's no pauses or anything. They just go, just move at all times.
Indeed, and they're moving and they're flowing fast. Yeah. A lot of time we see in Rapier and Dagger and things we mentioned in previous episodes is just how much you get this sort of quite frantic action, stop start.
Bam!
That's a lovely shot there. Yeah,
lovely. And the cool thing is that what led up to that is a really long sequence of just trying to find the opening. There's no rush at all.
Yeah.
In fencing today, in both sparring and competition, we see a lot of exchanges when people just attack, and then the opponent thinks that, okay, my guy attacked, so now I also have to attack and go like full force in. but instead there's no rush at all. You can parry and move around a little bit and then find the opening.
Well, I think it comes back yes, indeed, and I think it comes back to something which is one would think is self-evident, but is missing from fencing, is that these people are respecting the weapons. They are dealing with sharp implements, in theory, that are going to cause damage. Now, one can go too far with this and say, you know, well, it's not really how an actual duel would be fought, because they would not be so engaged. But nonetheless, these guys are covering the blades, they are maneuvering, and they're using both weapons to protect themselves. They are not there hurling forwards, attempting to, you know, poke someone in an opening.
No, exactly. What can we say of the technique? We see Alberto moves his upper body quite a lot, front and back. He moves his shoulder back when he wants to change something. It's really interesting to see, and it's also really annoying to fence against someone who moves that much. Can you say something about that? You have sparred a lot with Alberto. I have never done that. So
I sparred a couple of times. I sparred with him most recently in Rome. Really, the way in which he moves is quite fantastic. Notice how he's using passing footwork. He's not doing that sort of gathering step that we see in a lot of Rapier, perhaps influenced by a lot of the sports fencing, but we do see that on the tree size as well. But what Alberto is doing here, and Edo as well, is they're passing, they're moving forwards, and they're really using their core. So Alberto, for example, has got a bit of a wave in his body when he's moving. So he's using his whole torso. He's not flinging his arms out. A lot of more amateur fencers will sort of push out really quite far with the weapons to protect themselves. What both of these fencers are doing is they're rotating around the core as well, keeping their elbows in and keeping everything very controlled.
How did it go when you sparred with Alberto?
Yeah, good. I mean, he got, I think, about 5 hits on me, and I got about 2 hits on him. We didn't spar for as long as we'd like to. I mean, there was a lot of manoeuvring. Which is far more fun. You know, there are so many fighters who want to get like 30 or 40 hits and will take 40 or 50 hits in order to get them. And what's the point of that? But I mean, when you're fighting Alberto, you up your game because you know you're up against the best. And the thing is, if you look, sorry to interrupt, I really do have to emphasize just how good Edo is in this. I mean, you look at the way he moves, he's moving beautifully.
What I said was, when you see this fight, they move so much. It's such a high pace, and it's a pace at all times. They never stop at all. So there's been like 3, 4, a handful of hits, you know, only, and the rest is just maneuvering, finding the opening, staying away, blocking, and just being really careful at all times. I really love this.
Yeah, you see, Edo unfortunately just going, oh God, you got another one in. You know? But the nice thing about this, of course, is before he's getting hit, you know, double there, but before he's getting hit, you've got a long sequence of actions occurring. This is not, you know, single intention stuff. As we say, that a lot of the stuff that you and I curse about with people just hurling forwards.
Exactly.
Notice that with both of them, if you think of a boxing analogy, they've both got their fists up, and the way in which they are moving, we're just about to finish there, is they are covering the lines on both sides. They are not simply, how can one put it? They're not just simply flinging one arm out and keeping, say, the dagger back or something like that, or waving one weapon forwards. These weapons are complementing each other, circling around each other, and really seeking to cover the entrance to themselves while seeking out the opponent's weapon. And the way in which they're doing this is they are not they're going outside of the linear fight that we see in what some people who see as the more traditional fencing. They are maneuvering around. I would say I have a contention that this is not a specifically Spanish attribute. I do think we see this, whilst this is obviously stylistically Spanish, It would be wrong to think of cyclical fencing as being purely Spanish. We see this in other forms as well. It's just we are still orientated on the piste to have that linear fight. Okay, so let's have another look at this video and we'll talk through it one more time.
Yes, please. Okay, what you said about boxing, I think was very interesting. When we look at these guys now, you see they keep their elbows really close to their body.
Yeah, that's something that is really, really worth pointing out to anyone who's looking at doing rapier and dagger. A lot of people, when they parry with the dagger, or with the sword, of course, will push their arms out to the side or do something that I'll call chicken winging, where they're lifting their elbows. It's just such a beautiful shot. Really, if you're going to be using any form of weapon, I suppose, but particularly this combination, you should only extend your arms forward in this instance when you're using a thrusting weapon, and you only have limited movement to the side. And as I said the first time we looked at this, what they're doing is they're using their feet, or they're moving their torso, and that rotates the weapons and keeps the movement minimal. What you don't want to do is flap your arms around, because that is what provides the openings. It provides space for your opponent.
Yeah.
I must just point out there, Edo as well was doing some lovely vertical movement up and down. He's not staying at one particular level. He's moving his whole body around.
Yeah. Oh, nice.
Strange.
Also, really, he also uses really nice cross stepping.
Yes.
Edo. Really beautiful cross stepping in the sequence before there. Really nice.
And notice, however, when they're doing that, they are very centered in their balance. They are not going off balance. A lot of people, when they try and cross step, they actually put themselves in harm's way, whereby they have that moment of imbalance.
Yeah, and usually people do it when they are going to, do one big technique or one big move or something, and they kind of, and he just, that's a normal way of moving for him. So he just moves in cross stepping. Doesn't matter what happens, just do cross-stepping like in very, very natural way. There you can see it at all times. It's really nice.
Something I'd also like to point out is notice how most of the time they are, while they might be using heel-toe movement, they are generally slightly raised off their heels. They are bracing their body, raising their bodies on the hips as well. What they're not doing is being completely flat on their feet. And again, I think this is something that fencers really need to appreciate. You need to have that poise to lift yourselves up when you're fighting.
Yeah. Like the way also they are really aggressive with the dagger at all times, searching not only with the rapier, but really using the very nice again from them. I just laugh when I see him thrust someone in the face or something. It's really but they're moving. They are really using both weapons as a unit.
Exactly, and we do see that those people who tend to rely, say, just on the lunge or something like that, will often hold their daggers back loosely. And they're creating a gap, and they're also making it difficult for themselves to bring that dagger forwards to apply it. Whereas here they've got both weapons applied here, plus with this movement they've got, they're voiding all the time.
Yeah. One thing that we talked about before we started this episode was actually how specialized the rapier is as a weapon, and it makes such a difference if you have, if you grab one rapier from the other one, it changes the fencing. You have started to use shorter blades, I heard.
Well, yeah, we've been looking at that. I think because the way in which I use the rapier is derived a lot from the side sword. So it's some of the earlier rapier, but the shorter rapiers. And if you have a very long rapier, you have to use it in such a manner whereby it is not found by the opponent, because you've basically given your opponent a long lever. So with a shorter weapon, it denies that and allows the fencing perhaps a little more like this, where you have a quicker movement and you are able to also get a little more leverage on your opponent. What you don't have is the range, of course. So you don't have that nice long lunge that you can get. But yeah, I'm using for single, I'm using a 40-inch blade as opposed to 45. I use a 42-inch blade with a dagger. Because with the dagger, you're able to free yourself of some of the leverage. And also, I confess, I do tend to use my rapier as a little bit of bait. I like people to fish for it because it allows me to apply my dagger to whatever they fished with and then hit them.
Yeah. Okay. Really, really nice, high-skilled sparring bout there from Alberto Bomprezzi and Herren. Pérez. I don't know what to say more. I'm really impressed by it. So
I would recommend looking at those guys and seeing how the weapons really should be used, and really the great height of technique that you can reach with it.
Yeah. Another thing, when you see a sparring bout like this with this high pace going on for 5 minutes, you have to understand it's not just a physical drainage. It's mentally really, really tiring. It's really hard mental to keep up your mental game in a sparring bout like this. You just go, you know. So that's also really, really impressive to see that.
Yeah, one of the great things that they do at some of the Italian events, mainly the Spanish events that I've seen, is they will have an hour where everyone has to fight 3 bouts of 3 minutes, followed by a 3 or a 5 minute break, and go again. And those 3 bouts of 3 minutes are with different people. And you are just going on and on and on. And it's at that pace. I mean, it is exhausting, but it's also exhilarating. One of the interesting things I find when you do things like that is you get very tired, but then you come out the other side when you're still tired and you're moving slow, but your fencing starts to improve. I can't quite put my finger on why. Maybe it's just because you're so utterly relaxed into it. But that's something that people might want to take on at their events is to have that intensive time of sparring. And one of the other great things that they do is the instructors don't sit at the side watching. They get involved and they spar.
I just want to sit at the side and talk about people.
That's what we do after Swordfish. That's
I
what
know.
After we sit on the side and complain about people. As opposed to the day before when we've been complaining about people.
Yeah.
And each other.
And each other, mostly. Yeah. Okay, thank you. This was really fun. Great to be back again, Alte Herren. And next time we will, after this, of course, we will go back into an interview, I think. I don't know with whom.
We don't know who we're interviewing. We've had a couple of people who've asked to be interviewed about their book. So we shall see. We shall see who it is.
Yeah, cool. Okay.
All right then.
Yeah.
Cheers then. Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye.